A bit of an interesting video today. It doesn't really fit into like any sort of categorization. I guess it's sort of, I hate this like terminology, but like a story time video. It's just an experience that I had a couple weeks ago that I thought would make, I feel like it's quite illustrative of, you know, things that I go through in my day-to-day life, sort of part of spiritual growth and development. So that's more along the lines of what this video is about. So I'm just going to basically tell you like a little story about something that happened. So around my birthday was June 1st. Thank you so much to everybody that said happy birthday to me on here and on Instagram. And around that time, I had to be in Salem, Massachusetts for a meeting. I love Salem. I love the North Shore of Massachusetts in general. To be like honest, it's probably like the only part of Massachusetts I actually feel a connection to. The energy up there is really resonant with me, and I like it. I sort of dream about moving up there. Marblehead, Salem, Gloucester, Rockport, Newburyport, they're all really beautiful, less touristy places than like the Cape or even the South Shore, which can feel a little... I'm not gonna be like snarky in this video. Okay, so I had to be in Salem. It's about 45 minutes north of Boston, so it's easy for me to pop up there. The night before I was going to leave, I heard something fall in my hallway, like the entranceway of my apartment. And I keep these, I'll show them to you, but in like a split screen, but I have these sort of like tufted fabric, like memory boards, I guess. I've had these sorts of things in my living space since college. I guess you can use them as like a vision board or whatever. I just like to put up cards or bits of ribbon or like found objects, anything that comes into my life that I find beautiful and I want to kind of like see visually. So I heard something fall in my hallway and I walked over, and it was this business card for this shop in Salem called Housewitch, which I had been to the last time I was in Salem, and I knew about this shop. It's kind of a very chic witch store. That's the best way I can describe it. Like if you see their Instagram feed, you'll know. It's you know, they have crystals and metaphysical things and lots of sort of like mystical tools and tarot and a lot of sort of locally made artisan goods that are witchy in affect. So I've always been into sort of the presentation of this store and how it's curated, and I had been in before, which is why I picked up one of these cards. So I heard the thing drop, and to be honest with you, this, you know, happens. You know, the breeze blows, I've had the windows open because it's nice. Normally I just put the thing back up on the board and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And for the first time, I was like, maybe I should like pay attention to that. I'm going to Salem tomorrow. Maybe I should pop in the shop. I wasn't planning to. Right then I was like, I need to go into Housewitch. I don't really know why. I guess we'll just see what happens when I go. This story is gonna seem probably sort of anticlimactic, but it's poignant to me. So I made a mental note to go to Housewitch. I had a great trip to Salem actually that day. I just stumbled into shops that felt like really resonant. I had a really good meal. My meeting was great. And I just like felt like everything was in sync. But anyway, I went into Housewitch. The vibes in there are really good. There was several people in the store, a couple people working. And I noticed that they had some new crystals on display that I hadn't noticed before. They had very minimal crystals the first time I was in. The second time, they had lots of crystals and very beautifully presented. So the very first thing I noticed was they have like a table in the shop with sort of like ceramics and candles and things like that. And there was a bowl, and it had, now you're gonna know that this is what I got. It had this crystal sitting in the bowl, and immediately I was just like, I don't know, it was just sort of like an energetic pull. I guess the reason I want to tell this story too is I feel like it's a good case study or example of how I use my intuition to guide me towards certain things in life. So I saw this crystal sitting in the bowl. I immediately picked it up. I had no idea what it was, and there was a little card next to it that said garnet, $12, and I was like, garnet, oh, that's interesting. It feels like a grounding stone, similar to something like red jasper, and I don't normally feel attracted to these sorts of stones, but I was very interested in like the cut, like octagonal shape of it. So I started wandering around the rest of the store. They had like a beautiful display of fluorites, and then they also had two beautiful angel aura spirit quartzes, which has been a crystal that's been on my wish list for a really long time. So I go over to the spirit quartzes and I had a similar sort of like, ooh, ah, pretty. They're a man-made crystal, I believe. I guess if you're sensitive to the energy of crystals, angel or spirit quartzes feel sort of like amethysts to me. And it was such an interesting experience because the angel aura spirit quartz versus the garnet are like completely different energies. They felt completely different. So you could think of a grounding stone as working with like the root chakra, maybe the sacral chakra. And it was so straight, like I'm feeling it even holding it now. My blood starts to pump sort of differently when I'm around this, and I noticed it right away. It just felt like very deep. It was just like a deep, deep, this is like the the thing that I would, the action that I would associate with this, like in a good way though. And then the angel aura spirit quartz, I feel tons of, when I was around it, I just felt tons of activity like up here. It just felt like, you know, much more third eye, crown chakra centric. It was just such an interesting experience to have that juxtaposition like that. And then in the end, I'm sort of kept walking around the shop and I was like, I don't really want to get both. Which one do I feel more drawn to? I obviously ended up going for the garnet. There were a couple of reasons, some of which are sort of more personal, and I'm really kind of like scaling back on the amount of personal information that I share about myself and my life. But there were a couple personal reasons why I was like, I think I need this piece of garnet in my life. And I'll give you like a little close-up of it now. I just think it's literally like such a beautiful piece. It sort of makes me think of blood, and yeah, just like I found the shape to be so interesting, the color, and when I got up to go pay for it, the girls working were like, oh, we were wondering like who was gonna get the last piece of garnet. And one of the girls sitting there whipped out a piece of garnet that she had tucked in her bra. I don't know if you guys, any of you crystal enthusiasts do this, but I know I sometimes will put small crystals in my bra, often in my pocket. I've never put crystals in my underwear. I know people do that too. I'm not into yoni eggs. I don't think that they're a good idea. My medical intuitive has confirmed that you should not be putting rocks up your vajay. I love triangulating my own intuition with my sort of trusted consults, I guess, if you will. So my medical intuitive Adam is someone that I trust his advice implicitly at this point. So I sent him a picture of it. He assessed it for me and it was a 9 out of 10. That's how he kind of rates the beneficial effect of a crystal for somebody. So I was like, intuition on point. I wonder what the angel aura spirit quartz would have been. I think I've had him rate other spirit quartzes for me and I think it's similar. It's like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I just wanted to tell you that little story about, it was just like maybe my spirit guides wanted me to have a new crystal in my life, and so I paid attention to the sign and I got a new crystal that I feel has been quite beneficial for, you know, what I'm going through. The way I've been using it is I have a pretty regular home yoga practice. I would say 3 or 4 days, well, more than that really, but 3 or 4 days out during the work week. Usually I'll come home and do like a half-hour home yoga practice. So I've been keeping this by my yoga mat when I practice if I want to do like a light meditation. After, sometimes I'll hold it. I went on to watch Adam Barrelay's video on red garnet, and it is the crystal of the warrior, which I thought was quite interesting, but again, it's a very physical stone. In the video, he said that red garnet was often put in the shields of warriors before they would go into battle for sort of strength and protection and healing. You know, lots of other beautiful tidbits about red garnet in that video. So I just wanted to share that story with you. I don't really know why I felt compelled to, but I guess just also an excuse to show you this new beautiful piece that I've, you know, just really been adoring. And if you're in the New England area or in Salem, highly recommend popping into House Switch. It's a great shop. They also, if you're local, they do like special events. A lot of times I think they do gatherings around new moons and full moons that I'm sort of interested in attending. And every time I'm up in Salem, I plan on popping in there because their inventory rotates a lot, or they get a lot of new things in regularly, like crystals and such. So that's all for this very random video, and I'll see you in my next beauty video soon, which I'm about to go prep and film for.